Another factor for universities in Texas is how they handle students from other countries. Many of those students may choose to stay in their own countries during COVID-19, and this could significantly impact universities' budget as those students tend to pay full tuition. State lawmakers are looking at plans to help colleges and universities facing funding shortfalls. The Legislative Budget Board will play a key role in the funding process. State Representative Mary González is the newest member on the board, and she spoke this week with our Wes Rappaport about those funding challenges.
We're seeing that students are having a hard time paying the tuition and paying the bills and making sure that, at least at the collegiate level, how do we make sure that this emergency aid that the state is working on for education institutions gets to the right people quickly?
Yeah, so again, what we have seen through this crisis is that the folks that are already feeling marginalized or not having the resources necessary, that's being magnified. Specifically for so many of our college students, what they are definitely feeling the hit. One of the things that we have worked with the universities is to make sure that they are targeting the students who need help the most. And our universities have been great. Here's what I've learned in crises is that amazing leaders can really shine through.
As we talk about the idea of, the lawmakers that, you guys don't meet again until January. That's a long time.
And yes, and it's going to be a whole different session in January. I mean, think about it. Like a year ago, I was thinking we're getting ready for session. Redistricting is our number one thing. Redistricting is going to look so much different. The census numbers are going to come back differently. We aren't going to be able to have all the hearings that we originally intended to have during the interim. There are a lot of complexities thinking about what a session looks like and what democratic participation looks like. I mean, think about our hot button issues like redistricting, where there's probably thousands of people who are going to testify, and how do we manage that if we're still in the time of the coronavirus? And so as someone who cares deeply about democracy, I want to make sure that we are thinking about how we can be inclusive, how we can be equitable, and how we can really connect with all the voices.
You're the newest member of the Legislative Budget Board. How do you, I guess, now in light of all of what's happened in these last couple of weeks and months, what are you bringing to that table from a budgetary perspective to make sure that some of your top concerns are being addressed?
First of all, I'm an honor to be appointed to the Legislative Budget Board by Speaker Bonin. I'm the first one from El Paso, so it's really exciting for my community. What I hope to bring to the discussion is what is happening in different parts of the state, specifically my community or other marginalized communities. Sadly, we know that there is going to be budget cuts because the oil prices, sales tax numbers, and so we need to make sure that in the decisions that we have to make, that we aren't creating even greater consequences than we can survive in this state. So I'm looking forward to the challenge. Of course, it's a lot easier to be part of the budget process when there's money, but I'm eager for the responsibility to take care of all of Texans.
Looking big picture, I mean, what needs to happen right now in order to have a successful kind of this phased reopening? How do you weigh the challenges of just trying to make sure that these business owners can do what they need to do to protect their livelihoods, but also keep the rest of the community safe?
Yeah, it's a really difficult balance because what we don't want is to start opening up the economy and then close it back down again. And for me, what I think about is a lot about mental health, the trauma of closing it down, opening it up, closing it down. That creates a fear of, is it going to happen again? As opposed to feeling like, oh, we had a crisis, we handled it, we know how to handle it, and create confidence again. Confidence is really important when it comes to the economy. And so we really want to make sure we do it correctly. We have seen businesses who are trying, but what do we need to do? Like you said, testing, a lot more testing, tracing, and making sure that if we know somebody does have the coronavirus, where have they been? Who have they been in contact with? And just really collect all that data. There's so many levels of this that are really complex. And I'm just really, I love Texas. I know so many of us believe it's our own little country. And so we definitely have to take care of each other. So even though we can go out, I am encouraging as many people as possible to stay home, including my father, who I hope is listening to this.
Representative González praised the efforts put into testing sites run by Guard troops. She says they've been particularly helpful in parts of rural Texas, including her own district.